Welcome to Prom Week with 17. We are here to help you guys have the perfect prom. My name is Gunnar Deatherage and I'm a fashion designer and DIY creator, and some of my dresses might be very elaborate, but today I'm going to show you guys how to take thrifted dresses to the next level so that you guys can do DIY on a dime for your prom and have the perfect night. Is it kind of fun? 90s? Trims. We need lots of trims. Very 90s. So we are going to start with this little red faux snakeskin number. So it is short. To me, it feels so 90s, like early 2000s. It feels very on trend for the moment. Not every prom dress needs to be a gown. I kind of love the idea of like a Romy and Michelle's high school reunion style prom dress. I thought it could be fun to swap out these straps here and then add a little bit of ostrich feather trim in. Because the ostrich feather trim is gonna go around the top of this dress as well, you're not gonna see where the straps get placed. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is try the dress on, get the straps to the length that you like them to be. Wherever it feels comfortable, you know it's gonna hold itself up. Go ahead and set the adjusters and the strap length to exactly where you need it to be if your straps have adjusters. And if they don't, go ahead and tack them in place so that they're the length that you need them to be. So for this, I just need some scissors. I'm gonna use a needle and thread. And then I got some beaded trim. This is from a local Joann. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm actually just going to place the trim just a little bit below the top of the dress. And I'm just gonna kind of follow the length of the strap of the under strap here. And we're gonna go all the way down. And I'm just going to place it at the back where it's gonna be. And I'm gonna place another pin right there. Now, if you're using a beaded trim, they will go flying. Cut just a little bit lower, give yourself a little bit of extra room. And so now we have a strap length here that works. And so the next step is to actually sew it on. You don't have to be a great sewer to do this. I'm just kind of inserting my needle, going through both layers and coming out the other side, and then going back through the trim, and just gonna kind of do this quite a few times to make sure that it's nice and steady. Okay, when you get to the end, go ahead and insert your needle once, pull it up, and I'm gonna do this over the table so you can see, but I'm gonna kind of create the knot. So go through this center loop here once, and now go through it one more time. And then you're gonna pull this tight, and this creates a perfect little knot. And we're just going to cut that off. Super simple, just cut the knot. And now we're gonna go to the back of the dress, and we're gonna repeat that step, clip the tail. And so do you see how these kind of separate in the middle? They're not really tied together. I suggest going through in the middle of the strap here, because they are the same length. And I'm just gonna kind of stitch them together one time in the center of the strap. And that's gonna make sure that everything stays nice and snug on the body. It's 3 simple little stitches here to get the straps to look like something a little bit different. Create a little bit of tension to make sure it's gonna lay correctly. And we're just gonna stitch the strap to the new strap, and that way they stay as one strap and they move together. Now this only works this way if you're going to be covering it with like an ostrich feather trim or a trim of another kind, because you wanna make sure that you can hide the end of the new strap. So this is kind of how the strap will look. You can see on the back, the elastic is here, but on the top, the beaded bit is what is showing. So let's talk about feather trim. So the thing about sewing it on is that you don't sew it the whole way. You just tack it here and there. And if you don't know what a tack is, it's just a couple knots. Basically what we did to the top of the straps here. It doesn't need to be sewn all the way across. And if you do, it just kind of makes it feel a little tight. I suggest only doing a couple of them. So let's go ahead and add some feather trim to this to take this to the next level. I have got the dress unzipped here, and this is the end of my feather trim. I'm just gonna kind of hold it onto the back. We're gonna start at the zipper here in the back and get it kind of close to it. You want it to look seamless. I went ahead and added a knot to the end of the thread here. And I'm just gonna kind of go through the dress and into the feathers. Now, with these kind of feather trims, you can feel that there's like a little rope that runs inside of the feathers. You wanna make sure that you catch that so that you're holding the stability of the ostrich feather trim here. Now, I'm gonna go about a hand's distance apart now, and I'm gonna sew the ostrich feather trim on there as well. And that's how we're gonna work our way around. You don't need to go any closer together to sew. And we're gonna treat it the same way. You're just gonna go through the dress, into the boa, and back into the dress. And a pro tip that we're going to do at the bottom is when you add 2 layers to the bottom of it or to the top, it makes it feel very luxe and very full. And I think that that makes it feel really effective. So if you can, do multiple layers in some spaces. So I've started sewing on my ostrich trim here. I'm just gonna work my way around and do the rest of this off of camera and then show you guys what the top of it looks like, and then we can address the rest of the dress. So we have our ostrich feathers at the top. I think it looks so sweet. It's very fun, very flirty. And now that I've done this to the top, I'm actually gonna do it to the bottom as well. So I find it really helpful to start on the side seam, and that way there's no gapping or anything like that when it comes to the ostrich feathers. I think it's easier to sew them on when you sew from the inside of the dress. So have the inside of the dress facing you, place it on there where you want it to go, and then we are going to start stitching it on. And here is our snakeskin dress redone. I think it has so much more life to it. It's very cute, it's fun. I think it's definitely a little bit more of an alternative prom feeling. We added a little choker to accessorize it up. I mean, picture this dress in pink and blue and green, and this dress would feel like so many different dresses, and it could definitely be done. You could even shorten a dress that you find that's long, and it could easily take on a new life. Okay, so I'm gonna work on this fuchsia dress. Now, I'm just gonna show you guys a fun way to add trim. I'm never someone to advocate for hot glue, but it really does hold up, at least with trims. I don't ever suggest hot gluing a hem, but trims are totally fine. So let's break out the hot glue gun, some of this velvet trim, and let's transform this dress into something that feels like a little more Versace and a little bit less thrift store. One thing that I loved about this dress is it has this kind of crossover effect. I've seen this in a lot of dresses, and I think it could kind of be fun to add a trim to it. Now, the key to adding trims and making them feel expensive, unless they've got like a finished edge on both sides, is to hide it in a seam or underneath. So that's exactly what I'm going to do with this. Is I'm actually going to be gluing this trim to the back of this seam here, and we're gonna make it disappear into the top so that it kind of fades off. So one important thing to remember is you want it to actually show on the outside. Now, I'm gonna kind of have mine fade from a little point and then get a little larger. I'm gonna start by just adding a little bit of glue, just a little dot of glue to the very inside here. And now I am going to attach the velvet right here, press it, try not to burn yourself, and then we are going to work our way up the actual dress here. So just do little baby sections and kind of press off the glue when you let loose. And now at the end, I want mine to just kind of disappear behind this strap. So I'm just going to fade it in, and then we can cut it off. And now from the other side, we have a really nice, clean black line. Now, this dress is asymmetrical in the way that it wraps over here and it wraps over this way. And so I think it could be kind of fun to only do the black on one side of the top and then on the long side that comes down on the dress. So let's go ahead and add our trim underneath of here. Now pull away those loose strings as they're on here so it's not messy. Here's what our fuchsia dress looks like. This little black strip at the top and working its way down the dress is such a fun technique to add on here. I think it really just kind of gives the dress a high fashion feel, even though this is like a very simple dress. It just adds a detailing that you don't usually see. So if you are wearing a long dress or even a short dress and you need to hem it and you don't want to take it to a seamstress because it can be so expensive and you don't have a sewing machine, I have the best hack for you. This product is called Stitch Witchery. It's very inexpensive, and I promise you it is like witchery because it does work. I use it for like everything. So basically it's like a fiber that bonds two fabrics together. It's not a glue, it's not messy. You do need an iron, and I like to use a little steam because I think it really helps kind of solidify everything. So let me show you guys how this works. The first thing you want to do is determine how much you need to hem on the dress. So for today's example, I'm going to say we need to hem about 1 inch, which is nice because the lining is already shorter and then this little crinoline netting is short as well. So I think the very first step is to try the dress on and have someone help you pin it where you would like to have it hemmed. It's going to give you a really good guide on where it needs to go. And I like to tear off a little bit of the Stitch Witchery as you go. Like I said, it's just an easy fiber to work with. And you just kind of place it underneath of where you're going to be hemming. Now make sure that none of this is exposed because it will get on the iron and it will make a mess. You don't want that to happen. And then take your iron, and use this little baby iron here, and I'm just gonna use a little steam. And what this is gonna do is it's going to fuse these two fabrics together. Now I suggest making sure that your iron is on the correct setting. This is now a solid hem here, which is really nice, and it looks really good from the other side. I'm gonna work my way around the dress, going in between the pins. I'm gonna remove them as I go, and I'm just going to add in a little bit of this fusing all the way around. Look how nice this looks from the outside. It's such a beautiful hem at this point. I'm gonna work a little more on the red dress, and I'm gonna show you guys how to actually hide your straps. We're not even gonna cut it apart. We're not gonna use a seam ripper. We're just gonna tack it inside of the dress in a way that makes it really nice and clean. And then that way, maybe later on, you can have the option of straps if you decide to wear it again. So let me show you guys how to do it. Okay, so I chose this dress because it does have a lot of boning here in the center and underneath of the bust, as well as a cup. So it's gonna be nice and sturdy when it's holding you into the dress. One thing that is nice to note is that I chose a dress that has a thinner strap. What's cool is that you really can just press it behind and it disappears, right? I will actually bow the cup out like towards the inside, so because you want to get the tension right. And I'm just going to kind of pull the strap down to where it is going to be nicely hidden here, but it's not going to be pulling this underneath side down too much. And I'm going to make sure not to go through the whole dress, but just through the inside layer. And I'm just going to put a little stitch here. And this is going to hold the strap down inside of here. It works really well when the strap is not super thick, because that way it's not, you know, rubbing you raw if you're wearing the dress. Gonna do my little double knot trick. Snip this thread. Now, you can still see a little bit from the top, which is totally normal. I also suggest doing a secondary stitch. So I'm gonna go ahead and stitch this top part down right here, making sure to only go through the lining, and so the stitch doesn't show from the outside. I also think it's helpful if you go through one side of the strap and then you also go through the other side of the strap. And you would just repeat this with the back strap as well right here, and then your straps completely disappear. And here is our red dress without the straps and our brand new hem at the bottom. As you can see, the hem, it looks nice here. We've got a very finished edge in here. Now, if your crinoline shows at the bottom, or if your lining is showing, you would need to trim them away and treat them just like this, except for you don't really need to hem a crinoline netting, you would just need to trim it away. This is such an easy hack for you guys. I hope this has been very helpful and inspired a little bit of magic in your prom season. I think it's going to be a really wonderful time. Get creative, allow yourself to kind of see the possibilities and create. Make sure to check out my YouTube, where I have a lot of tutorials and a lot of different ways to kind of get inspired and keep you creating. So until next time, bye guys.